I'd like to call to order the City of Maplewood Parks and Recreation Commission, 6 p.m., October 19th. And with roll call, it looks like we have a few people missing tonight. It looks like we're missing Craig, Monica, and Kimmy right now, and that's it. Perfect. We have anyone to make an approval of our agenda tonight?
I move that we approve the agenda for this evening.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have an approval to approve the minutes for tonight.
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
I second.
All in favor? Aye. Moving on to new business, we are swearing in our new commissioner tonight.
Hi, Chair, members of the Commission. We are happy to have Jason DeMoe joining the Parks Commission. And I'm going to turn it over to him in a minute to tell us a little about himself and why he decided to join the Parks Commission. I apologize for my voice. I'm getting over a bad cold, so I'll do my best not to cough through the meeting. I just got my voice back today, so bear with me. But with that, I would like to introduce Jason DeMoe. He is our new commissioner, and with that, we have a full commission for the first time in a while, so it's great, because as you can see tonight, we had people out sick, and with Jason here, we have a quorum, so yay. But with that, Jason, I'm going to turn it over to you, and if you could just tell everyone a little bit about yourself and your journey to joining the Parks Commission.
Sure. So obviously, my name is Jason. My history with parks, I was the vice chair on the Forest Lake, Minnesota Parks, Lakes, and Trails Commission. And I've also did a short stint on the White Bear Township Parks. And then I moved to Maplewood, and I joined the Heritage Preservation Commission, served there for 3 years, really enjoyed it, got a lot of knowledge out of it. And then I saw there was an opening on parks here, so applied, and here I'm sitting today. A little bit about my background. I am the second vice chair of the Maplewood North Lions Club, and I am also the secretary on the board of directors for the Maplewood Area Historical Society. So that's kind of my community involvement. For a job, I work in Burnsville for the Minnesota Valley Transit Authority. I work in the office. We do buses in the South Metro, so that's my 9 to 5 or 6 to 2:30 as it is. Other than that, yeah, I'm really glad to be here, glad to be a part of Parks, excited to learn more. Have completed the Minnesota State Hiking Club, which is hiking one park in every single state park, hiking one trail in every single state park in Minnesota. And the DNR sends you a really nice plaque when you complete it, so that was a fun experience. Anyway, thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you so much, Jason. And just for a little bit of official business, we don't take you too strict here, but if you can just read the statement you have in front of you.
Of course. I, Jason DeMoe, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and of the state of Minnesota, and faithfully discharge the duties of the office of Commissioner of the Parks and Recreation Committee in the city of Maplewood, in the county of Ramsey, and the state of Minnesota to the best of my judgment and ability, so help me God. You're welcome.
And next we have the 2023 to 2027 capital improvement plan.
Go ahead, Audra.
And Chair, member of the Commission, tonight we have our Finance Director, Ellie Halseth, here with us to give us an overview on the latest version of our CIP plan covering 2023, as you said, through 2027. So I'm going to turn it over to Ellie, and she's just going to give a presentation for you, and there'll be time at the end for questions. With that, Ellie, turn it over to you.
PowerPoint, please. Thank you. Thank you, Chair and Commission, and thank you, Audra. Tonight, we're just going to talk a little bit about how the City Council decides how to allocate funding to the various different CIP projects, including the parks projects. And so we'll go through some of it kind of quickly, and then we'll have time to talk about the parks projects, and Audra and I can take any questions that you might have. So kind of your goal tonight, it would be to kind of make sure that these projects are what are in your planning processes. So the Planning Commission has already reviewed this plan to determine if it's in compliance with the comprehensive plan. But you might want to consider whether or not these projects fit within your parks plan. The capital improvement plan is an ongoing process. We start with identifying needs and looking for funding and getting it adopted into the budget, and it's a continuing circle. We revise it every single year. So the capital improvement plan has a number of different financing mechanisms, and I really just want to focus on how parks are improved and how that financing takes place. So it's primarily through the park dedication fees that you get from new development and also through debt. There are some other more minor, sometimes there is a surplus fund balance, and that might be the case this year. You may be getting some money through from a surplus fund balance that the city has. They can also levy taxes. We do that for your playground. We have one playground per year that we levy taxes for, and then the remainder of the improvements come either through park dedication or through debt. And one of the things that the council considers is their priorities, the priority of the commissions. One of their top priorities is debt reduction. So they've been working really hard for the last 5 or 6 years to reduce the amount of outstanding debt. They've been highly successful with it, but that means there's not a lot of extra money. We're trying to get to a pay-as-you-go basis with our equipment and even our streets. That means there's not always a lot of extra money available for some of the things that you might want to see done. So what happens with the capital improvement plan is the next step is it will be adopted by the City Council on December 12th along with the annual budget. So the capital improvement plan is a plan, and only 1 year of the plan actually gets funded in the budget, so that will be 2023. And even then, each project goes individually through the council at the time that it's approved. So it's more or less a planning document, and it's also required for us to issue debt to finance certain projects. So this is just a summary, a rough summary, about 60, I can read it here, about 66 million. And as you can see, I think it's 76% is streets. So that's where the bulk of the bulk of the funding goes. There are different ways that the City Council uses to prioritize these projects, and they also take input from staff members and commissions. So any input that you have would be great to leave with Audra tonight. In the parks category, over the 5 years, there's 4.6 million. So the City Council has committed to spending $1 million a year on improving parks because that's what was found to be necessary in your parks improvement plan, and that plan is quite dated at this point. So we're probably quite shy of where we really need to be with that number. But again, this is just a plan, and will continue to be tweaked as we work our way out of the COVID situation and through the latest problems with the economy. Hopefully, we will see some more projects being funded. So parks is about 7.2% of the total 65 million in funding. The primary purpose of the capital improvement plan, or I should say the largest amount of funding gets allocated to streets. Obviously, it's a pretty expensive endeavor, about 49 million allocated over the 5-year period. So over 75% of the funding went to streets. What you can expect for the next 5-year plan is another 18 plus miles of streets being improved, or about 14% of the city's streets. They also, the Public Works Department also does what we call spot paving. So they're able to temporarily fix a project by going in and laying a thin layer of asphalt. And that has been very successful in the neighborhoods at providing relief until they can actually get to them and rebuild the roads, because they were finding that the roads were just in just not an acceptable level of service. So the spot paving has really helped, and they spend about $80,000 to $100,000 a year on that program, and it really helps extend the streets. So for next year, 2023, there will be 1.56 miles in the Myrtle-Sterling area. Those streets have a PCI rating of 36 out of 100, so that means it's in very, very poor condition. So by the time we actually get to these streets, for this level of a rehabilitation, you're seeing some streets that are very substandard. So 3 1/3 miles next year will be improved, and there will be several miles of spot paving done. So the council is getting closer to their goal of having a certain number of streets at a certain level, and I believe it's they want 80% of the streets to be at level 70 or something like that. Don't quote me on those numbers, but they have a certain number of miles that they want to be in a certain standard, and they're getting very close. But as you can see, we're still really working away on some old streets or some substandard streets. So this is where the Park Commission comes in. A lot of the park projects fall within kind of the other major projects. And Audra can provide a little bit more detail on this. There are park upgrades that are planned every other year. The city will probably be borrowing money to do those, and also using existing fund balance. Goodrich Park is in the plan for 2023. There's open space improvements, nature center, facility upgrades. Those kinds of things fall under the park board's purview. You do have in your packet a copy of each individual project, and then a summary sheet of all of the park projects for the 5 years. I do apologize that the print is very small. We have a new software program that actually doesn't print as well as our old one, so we're still working on that, but each project is described in a little bit more detail. And Audra also can help you walk through. These are projects that you've developed with the Parks and Recreation staff over the years. So for your consideration tonight, do these projects conform with your Parks and Open Space master plan? And the projects that are slated for 2023, just take note of those, because those are the ones that the council will be funding in some way. So there is initial planning beginning on Hazelwood Park, a big park maintenance and reinvestment program that will include Goodrich for $1 million, Harvest Park, open space, and park upgrades to existing parks means that is a playground. So one playground a year. So with that, I guess Audra and I would be open for any questions that you might have.
If I understand correctly, park upgrades to existing parks, it's listed at $130,000 for the next 4 years. That's one playground per year per park. Is that correct?
Chair, members of the commission, it could be a playground, it could be hard courts. That's how we finance the Vista Hills tennis court revitalization. It's to replace facilities like that, but it's usually a playground. Sometimes we had to switch and not do a playground because we had, the tennis courts and the basketball courts in one of the service areas. We needed to make the tough decision, was it Vista Hills, was it Pleasant View? And Vista was chosen based on use of the park and then just the level of what needed to be replaced and putting the basketball courts. So that's what we did last year. So it's always a tough call. And then, we've had projects backed up because of COVID and put on hold, or we've been waiting on the decision like Harvest Park. We have the master plan done, but it has not gone to council yet. And that project was flipped with like Hazelwood had been first, but it was flipped because of I don't want to get the name right now. It used to be, what is the current name? It's not the Rush Line. Is it Purple? Purple, yes. Because of the, considering whether the parking structure and now surface lot was going to be there. So it's like Ellie, Director Paulson said, it's a plan, but then things can always change, and then it always gets looked at again. But that number that's 130,000 now is a placeholder. It used to be like 100,000, and we've increased it looking forward. And, we couldn't count on the inflation that happened. That was not what anyone anticipated maybe, but we always try to, up that number for cost increasing over, and that's what we can use to replace the playground. And so Sherwood was the one this year where we, had everything done now, and they've picked the color scheme, and then they were hoping to go out and be able to get the equipment at a better price now toward the end of the year. So that will be taken care of now in 2022, but they won't have time to put it in until next spring, but the plans are all there. So that was the playground for 2022.
So the Sherwood project, which we discussed, I think it was the last meeting or two, where we chose the colors.
Yep.
That one's being funded under 2022.
Yes.
Okay, under the 2023, what do we have identified for that funding at the present moment?
And that, I don't want to go on record at this meeting yet. It will be a playground. It will not be a hard court, but there are 2 playgrounds that we're looking at, and there's for different reasons, but it will definitely be a playground, and I'll be bringing that to the commission probably at the November meeting just to say which playground, because we factor in the annual inspections we do every year based on what's deteriorated, based on, if this playground equipment is too old to even be replaced, because some of them now have aged out where you can't even get parts anymore. It's based on service area, and so we're making that decision now, going through all that information to see which park is at the top of all the different factors, and then we'll bring that to you. There's so many, it's sad to say, but there's so many playgrounds we need to still replace and stuff, so it's just a matter of being fair to everyone through service area and safety and usage, and what parks are nearby that have had upgrades that are close versus this area hasn't had a playground upgraded at all, and there's nothing that's new and modern in that area, so all those factors kind of go into that.
Is it possible to get a list from you that identifies what playgrounds we have and what status they're at in terms of, this particular playground has been replaced and it's at a 10 out of a 10?
Yeah.
And, maybe because I live near Pleasant View is, if it's at a 3 out of 10, can we get a list like that so we can kind of look at these and understand exactly where
Sure.
each one of the
And
playgrounds
that's
are
the
in the
nice thing
parks?
about doing the inspections and putting the results in Cartograph and having a rating system for them so that we can just say, this is how they rated.
Okay.
And that
When-
gets updated every year, so
Okay, when could we get that list?
we can bring it to the November meeting.
Okay,
Absolutely.
perfect, thank you.
Yep.
So was Harvest Park on hold for just this year, or is it on hold for a while until we figure it all out?
It's on hold for right now.
Okay.
But, we've gone through the whole process, and it just depends on, other factors.
So
But-
we have it all picked out.
But you know how
what
we went through the whole
Yeah.
planning process with LHB, and we did the
Yeah,
whole, and
so
you.
we have everything picked out, but we just are not doing it
Yeah.
yet. Okay.
And then things changed because of COVID, and then recreation, programming that we're doing versus not doing anymore, and so, we may have to look at it again, but it is in the stage where the last step we took was when the commission voted to approve the plan.
Okay.
And
And so,
that's where we tabled it at that point, so.
Commissioners, it is in, 300,000 is in the plan for 2023. I guess it will depend on how, there is, a lot of flexibility in this plan and a lot of flexibility with the park dedication fund, so it kind of depends on your priorities as the year goes through. Harvest Park was scheduled to be funded with park dedication fees, so that funding is there, it exists, so it just depends on how you guys want to move forward with that.
Yep, it'd be moving the plan forward for its final approval, so that's where we're at with that one.
So it's funding's available and we have everything ready? Okay.
Yep.
And what exactly is it that we're doing at Harvest Park?
Did you, I'm not the best with memory, did you come on board after we had gone through
I
the whole
think so.
master planning process? Okay. I can email you a copy of the master plan so you can see exactly.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep.
The short description, Commissioners, is, and this may be dated, but likely include a configuration of the ball fields, picnic shelter, new playground, new internal trails, and additional amenities.
And the playground is completely, it's revamping the whole park and then figuring in the component with Urban Roots. They've got the native seed garden there. And we used to have that urban farm plots that we're not going to be using anymore, and they would be converted back to some kind of, soccer fields is how we have it planned out. Like, we have the whole plan, we went through the whole community process and everything, and then it just stopped in 2020. But I'll be happy to go over the plan with you, and.
Sure.
But, yep, and then the one thing I can tell you is, because, pickleball's the hot thing at the moment, that's the one I've been telling you, that the tennis court there will be converted to pickleball only. It'll be I believe it's 6 pickleball courts in the tennis complex there at Harvest.
And no tennis at all then?
No tennis there at all. That would be dedicated pickleball courts, because we have none. We have no dedicated pickleball courts in the city, so that will be our first.
Is the master plan available online? If not,
Sure, yeah.
thank you.
Just because it isn't finally approved, but I can send you the draft. Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yep.
I think, didn't we got it all situated too, I think we worked with the neighbors on that one a lot.
Oh, yeah, we had quite an
Because of
intense community
picnic tables
process.
and stuff, they didn't want them too close to their home and everything, I
Well, there'll
believe.
be
So we-
shelters, yeah,
So
some
we
of-
moved that to
yeah.
work with the neighbors, that was one of the things.
Yep, and the playground right now is very dated and old, and it's on top of the hill there, or the little berm area. It'll now have a couple pieces up there, but it'll be a playground down on the level where everyone, so kids can play at it when their parents or they're at, tournaments or that kind of thing. It'll be much nicer. That playground's been put on hold to be, it's in need of help, but it was put on hold for the entire process. Same with Hazelwood. The playground there's very aging, but we wanted to work it in as part of the whole revamp of the park, so.
Well, and Harvest is very well used. I mean,
Yep.
you drive by there and it's always used.
Yeah,
So I would want to get it done as soon as we could make it safe for the kids, but yeah.
yep.
Any other questions?
Just to follow up on the park maintenance and reinvestment, I presume that's the mowing of the lawns, all that type of expenditure?
No,
So-
oh, go ahead.
Sorry. So not exactly, no. That was as a result of the last master plan that was done, when it was determined that the city needed to invest at least $1 million a year into the parks. So the city council has, in this plan, agreed to issuing debt in 2023 and in 2025, because there won't be enough funding in the park dedication fund to do $1 million a year. And I don't know that everything has been identified yet, but they have committed that in the plan, $1 million in 2023 and in 2025.
Yes. And those can be part of these larger projects. We have that 300,000 for Harvest, but it also can, work towards some of these bigger projects.
So I guess what I'm hearing is that the $1 million could be inclusive of the other figures we're seeing in the column for 2023 as well. Is that
No,
what
it
I'm
is in
hearing?
addition to, Commissioners. It's in
It's
addition.
in addition.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Well, we thank you for coming.
Thank you so
And-
much.
Yes.
Thank you, Ally. Appreciate it. And then, Chair, members of the commission, we don't have anything else set on the agenda. I'm hoping if we can have Steve Love, our Public Works Director, might be able to join us in November to have that Trails and Connectivity meeting and then Craig will be here, might not be sick, and just to talk about how it all works in the city. But I do have a lot of updates for you on things we talked about at the last meeting and things that are coming up. But first, I don't know if go ahead and see if there's any.
Is there any
Commissioner
unfinished
presentation?
business we have tonight? I don't think so. All right. And visitor presentations, no visitors tonight. So commissioner presentations, none? All right. And staff presentations, Audra.
Okay, thank you, Chair and members of the commission. Well, the first thing I'll do is give you an update on our scout Todd Carroll and his project at the Nature Center. He's been very, very busy working, and after he met with you at the meeting in September, he met with the Friends of Maplewood Nature at their October meeting. He came out with it and walked through and gave us a presentation of what he would like to do and what they could do. And they've gotten to the point now where we have staked the location of where the bird feeders will go. We've ordered the plants. We actually got them today, the plants to plant out there for the bird-friendly plantings in the area. And so they're currently hanging out in the sunroom at the Nature Center till they can be planted. And Todd came out at 7:30 in the morning on last Friday and met with Park Maintenance, our foreman, and they got to talk it over and what they could do and how they were going to drill the hole and whether they needed Park Maintenance. And Todd said his grandpa has just the right tool to dig the hole, so we're going to let him do it. So he's very, very hands-on and excited to get this done. And then we just have to approve the dates for them coming out and installing and planting. And he gave me a date as early as the 28th of that Friday, October 28th. That won't work, but we could possibly have it all said and done November 1st or 2nd. So it's really moving along. And so I just thought you'd all like to know that. So
That's great.
then we'll have some pictures and let you see what it looks like. And maybe you can come out to the Nature Center, come take a field trip out and see the bird feeder and the plantings. And he's looking for scouts right now to get together to help him do the planting. So we'll let you know when that takes place. Any questions about?
I just have that's
Sure.
great what he's doing, but we're always looking for a student or whatever. Have we ever thought about asking an Eagle Scout to join us?
I didn't get any response when I
Okay.
emailed, not from the scouts, from the schools. But
But I'm thinking, I wonder if they could use that as one of their projects even.
Yeah.
We've
or-
had several Eagle Scouts come
That's a
to
really
us
good
to
idea.
do projects for us. I wonder if they'd
Maybe
want to
they'd
sit on our
wanna join.
commission.
Yeah.
Because it works nice to have a younger view in here,
As
too.
the volunteer, that's a great idea. Yeah. Anything else about his scout project? And he's got the approvals, and like I said, he's going to be done really quickly, so
He seemed very organized.
it'll be great. Okay.
Where is his troop based out of? Do you know?
Oh, I believe he's
That's right, he did say he was.
North St. Paul, but he
did.
goes to North.
That's right.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All right, the next thing is just another reminder, we talked about it last meeting, but trunk or treat is coming up, excuse me, on October 29th, and it will be from 1 to 4 over here right at City Hall, and I invite people to come out. It'll be great trick or treating. They're going to have games, and Park Maintenance is now bringing a vehicle. We have confirmed we are bringing our brand new John Deere tractor. We're going to have it decorated up, and we're going to hand out candy. So, and any of you, even if you don't want to stay the whole time, if you want to stop by and check it out, talk with people, or even just come for a little while and hand out some candy, you're welcome to come join us. And anyone can come. You don't have to be a Maplewood resident. Just come between 1 and 4, and parking's over at the YMCA, and then you can just walk over. And then I don't know if Jason, if you want to chime in about it, but the goats are back for their second round of eating down what they ate before that grew back. And I don't know, have you, other than Saturday we had the little breach in the fence, have you had any observations while you've been monitoring the goats so far?
Haven't had any issues other than this Saturday. We saw some fence that was down, but I will say that our Lions Club recently had a zone meeting, which means all the clubs from the area come together, and you get up to the microphone and you talk about service projects that you've done throughout the year. And I got up there and I spoke and I mentioned the goat project, and everybody in the room was like, "What? You got to work with goats? What is this?" So it was a big hit at our Zone Lions meeting, but it's been a really good project for us, and we really enjoy coming out and just enjoying the nature and the trail, and the goats are fun to watch. So yeah, we're glad to be involved.
And as far as how long they'll be here, it just depends how long it takes them to eat what they need to eat. Last time there were at least 50 goats, so they made pretty short work of it. This time we have less goats, but they're still pretty hungry and pretty active, so it's amazing what they can go through. So and then they are doing a reseeding of campus. You know, we talked about the whole pollinator project when Carol Gurnis was here, but they are going to come up because it was such a dry summer and, you know, we didn't have irrigation to water, so they are doing another they mowed down some thistle and they're going to do some reseeding this week to give it a jump start for next year, so cross our fingers. It was a tough year to start a campus pollinator project where you had to take out turf, so that's the update on that. We had our little pop-up bike skills course on Saturday. I was unfortunately sick and not able to go, but Neil was there and Paul, who came to speak to you at the last meeting. And because of the snow earlier in the week and the cold temperatures, there was a layer of like frosty on the course. So when they tested out, Neil brought his son. Nolan tested out and whoop, the bike went down. He was fine, but we decided it wasn't safe to be in the tennis court right after that frost. So they actually put his the different elements out on the trail, and the kids that came had a blast. There was a small group that came first, and then they went home and got friends and came back. And Neil Brenneman, our recreation supervisor, said his son loved it, so they're going to look for an established park this weekend to maybe check it out. So the pop-up was successful, and people really liked it, the people that came. So the plan is, you know, not anymore this year because of just the cold temperatures and whatever, but then in the spring to do more of these pop-ups and then have more set events with, you know, get some community feedback. We did have surveys there for people to give their thoughts on it, and they were very positive. It just was a smaller crowd than, you know, there would be with more publicity, but that's kind of what we wanted. We wanted to kind of especially invite the neighbors. There were signs in the park, and then Paul had posted on Nextdoor just to see if the neighbors had a buy-in of the idea, and so far have not heard anything negative. People were intrigued, and the ones that came thought it was a really good idea, and the kids had a blast. So any questions?
If we were to add that to a park, would it be more than likely that park?
Well, there's a lot of things to consider. You know, when Paul came, he talked about, you know, he would love a whole bike movement of all different kinds of things in the city, but the pop-up, the bike things in the tennis courts that can't be fixed anymore, we could fill in the cracks and make them a little bit more user-friendly to the bikes. That's one thing, and then it would be, do we want a whole bike park someday, like an off-road bike park like they have in different places? So there are a lot of things to consider, and I have a feeling you'll be hearing more from Paul and maybe the biking community about what they want to see for Maplewood going forward, because, you know, it used to be skate parks and this kind of thing, and now these BMX or off-road bike courses are popular too for areas that might have the space and there's not other things going in there, or we take out an expensive tennis court, we take it out completely, then what do we put there? So, yeah.
So at the event, you know, it's Paul, right?
Yes.
He had talked about building ramps and things of that. Is that what was done? Were
Yeah,
there ramps?
he built some very small features. I mean, they were like beginner ones, very close to the ground, and he had like 5 or 6 different little elements, and they were going to be staged in the tennis court. We couldn't do that to really try it out, how it would work in a tennis court because of the frost on the court, but the ones that were there, they just put them, kind of spaced them out along the trail, so the kids just got to go over them. And I'll have to see if Neil got some video that maybe I can bring next time, or I can send to you. I just didn't have that for today.
Now, did the Parks Department keep a hold of those features that were made, or did Paul take those back?
Those are currently, Paul just took them back to his house. You know, he lives right next to the park, so he brought them over Saturday for the pop-up, and then we took them back home.
Okay,
And
so there was no funding provided by the parks for the building of those?
He just had those, and he didn't have time to paint them or anything yet, but he made sure they were safe and brought his boys out to do it. And so, yeah, it was, what was really nice is that the ones that tried it went back and got more friends and said, this is cool.
That's cool. I like that. That's nice.
Yeah.
I might have missed the presentation that Paul made, but is he just a resident or?
Just a resident
Okay.
that had a passion for this and came to the Parks Commission just to talk about his passion about wanting to do these. And his kids are on Strider bikes, the little ones. So these were very, safe, basic elements. But in Minneapolis, they've done that for tennis courts that are beyond repair, and they're not gonna, because it's so expensive to do. And then with the fencing, it helps keep the little ones corralled in, and they've turned them into these little bike parks. And so he was passionate about trying it at Four Seasons, so he came and talked to the group, and everyone seemed to think it was a great idea. So we just set one pop-up yet for this fall so we could try it out, and that was this past Saturday from 10 to 12. Because we didn't want to just leave them in the tennis courts unattended, vandalism, whatever. And then we, just for staff-wise, we wanted to see how safe it was and what the kids' interest was and if they liked it, and they had a great time. Neil had said he was surprised how much the kids kept doing it. He thought maybe they'd get bored because they were so simple, but they loved it.
If we were going to look into something like that, would that have to go into our master plan, or how would that work?
No, not necessarily. It would just be, doing more research. 'Cause like I said, this was to get a feel for what the neighborhood thought, or if they thought it was terrible, or if anyone was interested. And then, we're not going to reinvent the wheel. We definitely lean on reaching out to Three Rivers just to see, how they established more permanent ones and rules and how that worked. And so we're in the very beginning stages, but that's something that we could just do.
Okay.
But a bigger, like, permanent park, which would be different from the tennis courts, it would be like if the one at Four Seasons were to stay, then it would be a neighborhood process. I'd send out letters for people who live on the park, and we'd have an open house where people could come and give feedback. So we definitely want to get their feedback, and then it would be, potentially just taking it to council to let them know about it and see how they felt about it. But it wouldn't have to be a change in the overall master plan, because in there it gives us that leeway of making sure we're following trends and evaluating what the community wants as the demographics change and people change, and so we're not just rigidly sticking on something. So the plan is looking forward to. So I don't know if I hope that answered your question.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Any more about our little bike pop-up? Okay. Then I have, let's see, if I could have the computer, please. We've got another educational class about EAB, and it's going to be on Saturday, November 12th. It's EAB, What Can I Do? And Carol Gurnis, our Natural Resources Coordinator, will be teaching this class, and it's virtual. So, and you'll learn about ash tree identification, signs of infestation, how to spread prevention, treatment do's and don'ts, replanting opportunities. So she'll go over all kinds, everything EAB. And if you want to register, the link is at the bottom. It's maplewoodmn.gov/Zoom EAB, and you can go and sign up for the class. And let's see, and then I mentioned this at our last meeting. Oh, get up here. Hang on. Oh, sorry about that. I'm trying to get this down here without a mouse. I'm helpless. Okay. I had talked about our new partnership with 4-H. Parks, in the 20-plus years I've been here, we've never had a partnership with Ramsey County 4-H before, but in working to implement the park, the task force recommendations, reaching out to different organizations, we made a great connection with Ramsey County 4-H, and some of this is repetitive, but they came out and held one of their open house events this past year. We let them have the space and helped advertise it. They came out to our last Celebrate Summer event. They had a booth out there, and then they worked to pull together these school out day sessions. They're not full day camps, but they are from 9 to noon, and we didn't know if the first one would go because it was pulled together in October, but as of today, we had 6 kids signed up, so the one on the 21st is Friday. It's a go, so we're really happy that we had kids that are going to come to the very first one. So we were excited about it, and they're signing up for the other ones. So these will be from now through next April, and it's nature-based programming and activities and things for the kids, and staffed by 4-H. So And again, I'll mention that there is a cost of $10 per session that includes snack, but they do have scholarships through the University of Minnesota Extension. So if the $10, if you have one or you have 4 kids and cost is a hardship, let them know, and they will provide scholarship funding. So no one will be turned away if they're interested. They're just limited on space. So if you're interested in one of these, I suggest you sign up soon, because they will fill. So I was excited to see the first one is a go. Any questions about that? Okay. And then anything else? That's what I had to make sure I highlighted you on, but if you've got questions for me.
Not at the moment.
Okay. All right, well, again, welcome, Jason. This is probably one of our shorter meetings, but we wanted to make sure we had it so we could do our CIP presentation and get you sworn in, and we'll see you all in November.
Good.
Motion to adjourn the meeting.
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
I second.
Meeting is adjourned at 6:40. Thank you.